There are certain things we just can't look away from. We're drawn to them, but we're repulsed by them. They're disgusting, they're distended, they're distorted. And yet, we can't stop. And it's almost to the point of comedy. It's hilarious. It's gross. It's grotesque, folks. Join us.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only. Water pipe.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles.
No, shower.
Yeah. Welcome back for another installment of the Unpanderers with myself, Dan, and himself.
Myself, Nick. Thanks for joining us, gang.
Yep.
As from the intro, as is obvious, we're going to be talking about something that everyone is talking about in politics today. Grotesque.
Politics. Yeah, so the definition of grotesque?
Please do. Let's rock a wiki on this.
Actually, the wiki redirects to the architecture, which is like gargoyles and like really detailed shit that is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, I saw this from dictionary or whatever. Yeah. Huh.
So Merriam-Webster, fanciful, bizarre, absurd, incongruous. What is that? Does it make sense?
Incongruous, like distorted, I think. Comically, repulsively, ugly, or distorted. It's just funny that we found comedy in there, like, over and over again. I was like, what?
Does it even define it as comedic in any way?
It did. The one definition actually had comedic. Oh. And I was like, comically or repulsively ugly. Like, so it's to the point where it's funny. Funny how? Just funny, like someone in the middle of a podcast stopped and sucked on a syringe. Something about that's grotesque because it just moved like jelly. That's not a liquid, is it?
It's a jello shot in a syringe.
Ooh, that's grotesque. What? Did you actually make jello shots at some point?
This was for a children's birthday party.
Wow.
I love this.
You got those kids loaded.
Yeah. And
so what did you do? Squeeze it out into little globules?
No, just when the jello is warm, you just suck it up.
Oh, okay.
Children's birthday party was more like bring your children and get smashed. Fantastic. A little grotesque.
That's good.
Yeah.
A little grotesque. Nobody could look away from it, obviously. It was very interesting, entertaining, but almost too entertaining, too wild, too distorted.
I feel like
too far from reality.
This like dark humor topic in the past, and we didn't really hit the nail on the head, but then I played that game, and it was just obvious to me that like you and I crack up at the things that are just ridiculous and awful. And like there's so many things in that game that are just like
over the top ridiculous. Insanely ridiculous. So we're talking about playthrough? Crap, I forgot the name of the studio.
Play Dead Studios.
Play Dead.
Yeah.
Play Dead Studios. Their hit game from about 5 years ago, or what year? 2018? 2014? People should do the research before episodes.
You told me about the game like 3 years ago, and I never played it.
Yeah, I did. It was Play Dead Studios. It came out. Oh, that doesn't tell me the year. That's awesome. Yeah, it was one of my favorite games. Yeah, one of my favorite games. You can get it on. Oh wow, it's on Steam. You can get it on PS4, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. It would be awesome on a Switch. Computer. You can get it wherever. It's like and it's one of those games that's like a 2-hour game, 3-hour game, and it's cheaper. It's like $15. I super would recommend it. we're going to include a link in the bottom where you can buy it. Would we get money if people bought it from us? Or do we have to be like rated beforehand?
It might happen in the future, so yeah, we definitely get money in the future.
Cool.
Eventually.
And buy it from us. And I'm not kidding about this game because it's not like a regular game. It's just friggin' it's a puzzle platformer, 2D.
Yeah, side scroller.
Yeah.
They
don't make a lot of side scrollers anymore.
No, especially not like this. So try to talk it.
It's dark. It's dark, dude. General. It's the darkest game we've ever played, kind of.
It's dark in nature and dark in visuals, and then the way
your character
lighting happens.
Is and your character is a boy with a bright red shirt, and the rest of the world is dark.
This is like the Schindler's List, like the girl with the red shirt or red dress.
Yeah, it kind of is. But it's so funny. It's like a little boy, and he's faceless. And from the first 30 seconds, there's no instructions. Yeah, there's no instructions. They don't tell you a backstory. There's no talking in the game. There's no dialogue. There's no instructions. You don't have a tutorial. You're just all of a sudden you're running, and you're like, that's interesting. I'll keep running. 5 minutes later, you're ripped apart by dogs, and you're like, wow, can't believe they showed that. About 3 minutes later, you're riddled with bullets by 3 grown men who find you with a spotlight and just shoot you dead on the spot.
It's almost like point blank. I thought they were going to like pin me down or grab me or restrain me.
They just shoot this small child with bullets.
Multiple
and they just
shots. They like unloaded the whole thing.
Yeah. And then as you're playing, you go into new rooms. Like I just played today again. I ran into a room where I saw a switch and I was running towards it. And as I ran to it, a hooked barb just came down, sliced through my body, and pulled me up. And I was like, guess I died. Didn't see that one coming.
Did you die by the guy chasing you too, where he chased me into the water and then he held me down in the water and drowned me?
Oh, he drowns you while you're shaking. It's pretty dark, dude.
Stop. I was like, who is this geared towards? Me?
I know. Who's this geared towards? Me? And the artwork is just friggin', it's cool. It's stylized. Yeah. That's just the way to put it. I don't know. There's probably fancier words for it, but it's really good. And you were going to touch on the light, I think, because like there's a lot of light and dark spots in it.
There's like spotlights, and then like the lighting is like foreground, like background ish, and then there's like stuff happening in the background that is story related, and then it makes you stop and watch, and then you're like hiding in the darkness while something happens in the background. Yeah, it's nice. It's like, exactly the right amount of attention you need to give it.
Yeah.
It's very like the detail is just enough that you can be drawn in and not need any more.
And I do love the dying, because the dying is like your instructions in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just go into a room and they don't tell you what kind of puzzle it is. They don't tell you anything. Like, again, it's very hands off. It's like, what's going on here? Why am I running? Why am I a little boy in a red shirt? No one else has a red shirt and I don't see any other kids. And it's like, it's just very bizarre. And they're like, why are they not just shooting at me, holding me underwater until I drown violently?
Yeah.
It's like so many questions. And then you start, the other cool thing I thought about this game was that the scale, like when you're running and stuff, like it can be within, a close up so that you take up like 1/4 of the screen and you're running and you can see your character running. But then there are these scenes where you go outside and you see these super elaborate, huge metal structures that you don't even know what they are. And now your character takes up like 1/40th of the screen, and it's just huge scale, and you feel so small and like
insignificant.
You're very you are insignificant.
That's that part.
If you just get seen, you die essentially in half of these scenes.
The barb was just it's cut and dry. It's like instantaneous, and then you get whisked off the screen. What the hell is going on here?
You die a lot in this, and it's if ever you run into trouble, you either have to hide from it or somehow dodge it and hope. Like, did you fight the pig? Do you remember the pig?
Yeah, you ripped the tail off the pig.
No, it's not his tail. That's like a worm that's inside its butthole.
I thought it was his tail.
No, it's a worm, because there's these worms all over all the cattle. Yeah, I watch it in 2440p.
I've got my 75-inch screen. I zoomed in right on the pig's anus. It came right out.
It came right out. No, because I literally played that scene before we got on today, and I was like, ugh, that's pretty
they ripped
dark.
off his tail.
Nah, it's a worm, and that worm seems to be in all these animals and like the brain dead things that you're controlling.
I never saw any worms.
Yeah, there are worms, dude. Especially if you do that farm scene again. But regardless, like, and then how about the little girl that like her hair's everywhere?
The water.
Did you freak out when she drowns you?
Oh God, that's so freaky.
No, when she drowns you as part of the story.
I know. Yeah.
I was like, damn it, I died again. I thought I beat it, and I was so mad.
In the stomach with that air thing.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I guess that's why you breathe underwater.
And that's how she does it. Maybe she got stabbed. So there's like, let's talk about the different motifs going on here.
Okay.
There's
different worlds.
Yeah. There's like an alien motif. There's like a parasite motif.
Yeah, the parasite. That's what the worms are related to, which you missed, but you got the motif.
Yeah. Then there's like robots, kind of.
Oh,
like it's mechanical.
Futuristic, mechanical, yeah.
And then there's like a almost like dreamscape. Like you feel like the kid is like escaping something, like a lot of like Where the Wild Things Are. It's like the kid is dreaming up this thing to escape things, but it seems like it's not that. Like midway through you realize that like I think he's like really experiencing something and like actually there and not dreaming it up.
Yeah. Because for a while I was like, this is going to be a dream. He finds his parents or some happy story. I really did picture it to go cookie cutter pretty soon. I was like, it's going to change. It's going to change. Can't stay this dark. And then like halfway through, it's just I can't figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to the next scene and going to the next scene, and not in a bad way. I don't think I needed direction. It's almost creepier or dreamier, as you said, to just keep doing it.
Because you're always wondering, like,
why? What's going on? What am I going towards or away from?
There's a zombie motif too. So like
with those people that are like brain dead. It's like these things that you can control, ironically enough, right?
And then I like how they do their puzzles, because their puzzles are like you do a puzzle and then it's like a +1, and they don't really like build on top of one another, but there's like little intricacies in the way they present it. Yeah.
100%. There are elements to earlier puzzles that you have to utilize. And they never have instructions. There's only one spot I got stuck at for like half an hour because I didn't realize I could move one of the chains or something, and I was like, God damn it!
What? Like
in the water
the puzzle.
There's two chains in the water,
swinging back, and
swinging one. Yeah, I didn't realize
in the water so she can like fake grab you.
I didn't realize. Yeah, that's wild, dude. That's crazy. I was like, she's gonna go towards it. I thought that was just like a glitch where my feet would touch the water. Yeah. I was like, you can do that on purpose? Oh, good call.
I died a lot there. Because I was like,
she kept. That was the spot where I had the most trouble.
You're trying to like swim towards the door off to the right, but like she's too close to you. So like when the door closes, it smashes you and her, or she like drowns you before you even get to the door.
Yeah. I died a lot at that door. The game, the puzzles, when you figure out what you're supposed to do, they're just hard enough to. Because it's not like so hard where you have to time everything so perfect. It's annoying. You're like, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm like a quarter second off. You have to just be very good. And we have the advantage probably because
where the dogs are on either side of the chain link fence and they run to the background and then to the foreground, and you're pulling boards off a door, so you can pull one board off, and then
I forgot about that. That's a cool one.
Yeah, that's the first time you're presented with like a delay timing,
foreground background puzzle. Yeah, that one's a cool puzzle. I forgot about that. A lot of these puzzles are really cool, intuitive, because like you use foreground background. It's hard to make a game in 2D, I imagine. Like, and it's not 2D, but it's. Do you know what I mean?
2D would simplify everything by one dimension. So what do you mean it would be?
It should be easier to solve all the problems then, and not make really complex. True. I think it's harder on the creator of the game to make something unique,
more puzzles,
fascinating. Yeah.
Okay.
Like even how about the sound machine, whatever that was, that would just
blast you away, you rip you apart,
blast the sound. Yeah, dude.
That was like interesting that like it started to play on like the timing of sliding down this thing, so you had to slide down the thing in the right.
Yeah. Well, what was cool is so I just did that 10 minutes for this, and you're in the room and there's all these like it's just the settings watching in this game.
Like
they weren't dead? People. They're all test dummies. I watched it 2440p. But they're test dummies, and they were all positioned in chairs in this room, all perfectly set up. And as soon as you come in and hit the button to open the shutters, like it's like a concussive sound bomb that keeps going off every 5 seconds, 7 seconds.
dummies go like they get shaken a little bit.
Yeah, dude. They
really
get
awesome.
rocked. Dude, there's different parts of the scene that like the walls are coming off as you're doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do really well with their background stuff. I noticed even when I was running from some scientists and stuff, they hear you close doors, and it's very little things, but like how about later on when all of a sudden you're much farther along in the game and everyone's running towards a tank?
Yeah. And then the scientists don't even care about you. It's so weird that like the people drowning
you've
in
been
the water,
hiding from on site are now ignoring you. And I was like timidly walking towards the glass that they were. I was like, okay, what's going on here? If they're not going to kill me, I got to check this out.
And then the people around you are kind of like, oh, they acknowledge you, but they don't care.
Yeah. So this is when I just did this scene again, and
the other motif is the like government
conspiracy type thing. Like, yeah, it is. So, yeah, you notice that all of these zombified people and like this girl with the hair are like failed experiments or something, because there are all these labs underground. There's weird stuff going on. It's just a real cool game. Everyone, give it a playthrough. Don't. We won't spoil. We just did the whole game.
Yeah.
But, and we're going. And honestly, if you're going to play it, maybe turn it off now.
Yeah, well, we're going to ruin it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right now, what we described makes no sense at all, probably, to someone who's never played the game.
Because I want to talk about the ending, which if you haven't played and you plan on playing, just do it before you listen to this part.
Yeah, don't, because this is the part that makes the most sense, even though it makes no sense at all.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and I'd rather experience it without knowing about it than hear about it, because it almost ruins it.
This is the grotesque part.
Crazy.
So if you want to play inside, just
go play and come back. Go play the game. Click the link. Come back. Come back and join us.
It is 17 minutes.
There you go.
There you go.
Cool. There you go. You're back. I hope you just enjoyed it. So that game is insane. So I started paying attention. You're still hiding from the scientists, and they'll look over at you when you're lifting gates and stuff and climbing around. Like, because they would look over, and I was like, that's a cool touch. Like, I like that kind of stuff. Little minor stuff. They can hear you moving around still. And then all of a sudden, I pulled that one lever, and you can hear the music. And I knew like I was like, oh no, I'm going in there, aren't I? I'm going in there, aren't I? Like, did you know that's where you were going?
You always know you're going to the right side, so you're progressing to the right. This time you like went all the way around and then back through to where you were. So you inherently knew you were going in the tank.
You were going in. And what's crazy to me, and I think it's hilarious, that you end up in there naked.
Yeah, somehow it blasts your clothes off?
Clothes off? I have no idea. I was laughing. I was like, why is he got to be naked? I was like, this is a bit much. This is a bit of... And then the scientists aren't even reacting. I mean, they're reacting to you, but they're not freaking out.
They're like
this. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's in there.
Yeah.
And then you realize what's in the tank. How would you describe that?
I would say it's a blob of maybe a dozen people with hands and feet and arms and legs coming out.
Stuff? Yeah.
And then it was like gelatin, like it had a sway to it, like it was tall enough to be like a person stretching with another person on top of them.
Yeah, it's like 10 foot tall, I would say, almost.
Maybe like 2 people tall.
Yeah, person and a half, 2 people, somewhere in there, and it probably weighs like, I don't know.
I would 1,000 pounds.
1,200 pounds. Yeah. Oh, 1,200 pounds. Yeah. And it's gelatinous, so it doesn't have edges. It's just a bunch of humans formed together, and you're trying to free it. And you're pulling on these things, and you see the arms reaching at you, and then all of a sudden, and this is a tricky thing, dude. There's 4 plugs. By the time you get to the 3rd one, it's over.
Yeah, I guess you were. Yeah, I don't remember going.
There is no. You don't get the 4th one. I just did it.
You just get sucked. And it's you intentionally suck yourself. Like, I don't think you get sucked in.
I think you do. I don't know, dude. I have no idea.
Huh.
So you get sucked into this blob we were just talking about, and guess what? You control it. So you go right over to the plug where all the scientists are watching you. You pull it off, and all of a sudden, everyone who literally had the power to just look at you and strangle you, kill you, shoot you on sight is now running for their lives. And you're so big and cumbersome.
You're rolling,
and
in the hands and feet are like, it's like
you roll like this. Oh, distorted, fat, ugly, nasty, overweight, behemoth ballsack. I would describe it as. I would describe it as ballsack. And it's so funny because the level where you were just prancing around and climbing on and like doing delicate. Things. Yeah, very delicate. You're literally a 10-foot, 2,000-pound ballsack just walking through all the walls. At one point, you get on the elevator and it just drops like 12 floors. And there's a guy in an office. He looks up and he's like, "What the?" He's like, "What?" And then you just drop another 12 floors. Oh, and you're talking about the boss.
Yeah, there's the boss.
Yeah. So you crash through that door, and there's immediately a boss because he's behind a huge desk, and he's looking at you.
You're like, "What the hell?
What are you looking at? And what are you going to do?" You've had no power this whole game. You run immediately at him as fast as you can, and you spiral out the building and just land on him, and there's just blood and guts everywhere. Such a cool game. Huh. And then you're solving puzzles as a blob.
And then people are helping you because they want to get away from you. They're like,
yes,
you're using them to open doors, and they're like, get away from me.
Get away. The one dude, it's such a nice touch. He says, "You over there." And he wants you to go as far away from him as possible, and he won't do it unless you go far away. And when you do, he runs over to the door and starts punching the code, but he keeps looking at you, so it takes a long time.
And if you go towards him, I would move forward.
He would run back away. so good, man. Yeah, dude. And all these people keep pointing to doors and are like, go that way. I don't want to touch you.
And they created the thing.
They did. And here's the other thing. It's gross to control that thing.
It does have a weird feel to it because you can stretch it, and then you could and
you're like all these hands and legs, and
we didn't even talk about the controls. The controls are just the arrow keys and control. Like it's only 5 keys.
Jump.
Jump is up, right?
Mm-mm.
Is jump a different key?
I had it as an actual button, jump, but maybe you can use up as well. I don't know. Either way,
I think it was just up.
But it's designed by someone who played Nintendo a lot. Think about it. They made use of the 2 dimensions: direction button, jump, action. It's all the buttons to the whole game.
Yeah, and it was very. I guess there are games where like you're trying to figure out the buttons and you get frustrated by like too many buttons or too many options. It's like the options are pretty simple, straightforward here, and they had a lot of feel to them. Like,
they do. They're very refined, very beautiful. You know your jump buttons. You know how far your character can fall before he dies, how far before he rolls, stuff like that.
Yeah, and even I guess like running, like sometimes running in games feels slow, and for some reason this felt like it was like the right pace. I don't know if it's always the same pace of
momentum.
Running. Yeah.
No, it's momentum based. I think because if you turn on a dime, he shifts differently.
Slides a little bit.
And if you start running from a stop, you start slower than if you were running full speed. It's like little details like that.
Makes it feel
But when you control that blob, you can barely run in a straight line. Your body is quivering and moving.
Yeah.
And if you remember trying to pick up the stick, I had so much trouble with that because it's like half your body is trying to pick it up. Yeah, you're like your body is picking it up,
handing it off. It's like the fireman's line. You're like trying to pass it down the way, and there's like 10 hands trying to grab it.
It's like, so wild. So then ultimately, what happens? They trick you into going into that tank.
They trick you, yeah. You somehow fall into another container, and then you're in there, and I forget what happens. You break free anyway.
You find the little edges that you can pull on.
Oh, yeah. You're at the bottom of the tank, and then you can pull apart the panels, and then you can break through it.
And then you stumble around for a couple more feet, and then just fall onto a ledge, and then keep falling until you're
down to the beach.
Like your body is on the beach. Do we even know if it's dead or alive at that point?
I think it's still alive at that point. The sun is shining on it. That's another thing, is whenever there was light shining, I would always go towards the light, unless it was like a spotlight.
That's a good point.
Weird. So there's like strange overtones. I don't even know. So like, what did you think it was? Like in the middle of the game, there's so many options that you think. I really thought it was like alien invasion.
Government mind control. Okay, or I could see alien invasion.
I thought the government was trying to control you, and maybe you were an alien, and I think you might have been.
I don't think you're an alien. I think you're an experiment, and you were one of the pieces that got loose.
Yeah, I think so, but
and it's weird.
You start way off in the middle of nowhere, though.
So this is the weird thing. I think you're drawn to the hive, whatever it is, like this whole collective, this weird thing. And I think everyone knows that you were going to come back to this hive. So their orders were to kill you on sight before you could join it and make it whole again and cause chaos and run around and wreck things. So you were technically the bad guy, and you were trying to get back inside. Even though your character didn't cognitively know he was trying to rejoin the hive, he just was being drawn to the right, if that makes sense. So he was constantly running and getting closer and closer, and they had all these defenses up and ways to try and stop him, but ultimately you found your way back inside. It's just so weird. I felt like I was running the whole game away from something, but maybe you were running to something. And when you joined it, you were so persecuted, so innocent, so fragile, and killed so many times that you became this killing thing. It's ironic, invincible. I don't think you can die as the blob, could you?
No, I don't know I don't think so.
There's no way to die. You could just not solve the puzzle, but you wouldn't die, which is crazy. The whole game is dying and learning. Yeah. And then you become something that's invincible and 10 foot tall and 2,000 pounds and is way too many arms and legs. And did you notice it makes the grossest sounds as you walk? Like that's so gross.
I loved it. I loved it.
But
oh my god.
But then ultimately, once you joined your whole hive, whatever it was called, and were invincible and causing all this chaos, ultimately you wanted to get back outside, just be free. I don't know.
Yes, I don't. What does it do? You don't know anything about what the objective is once you're there. At the end of the game, you still don't know anything more, other than you.
Again, that's so cool. There's no dialogue in this game.
You love the games that don't have dialogue, like the Fee. Is that another one that you said?
Yeah, you're right. I do. Yeah. I guess I do. As an English major, one who studied language his whole career, I love games without language. They sometimes say the most. I don't know. It is one of my favorite games, and I would recommend everyone to play it if you got, a few bucks. It's usually not too much, 10, 15.
So, I don't know, there's an element of with the animals, most of the animals are dead. So I assume there was also a plague motif going on that something escaped, something happened. And maybe it spread so far as to get this kid that was probably a town away, and then he went through where the plague had been to get to the center, to the inside.
Why?
I don't know. Do you think he was under control of something else?
I don't think so, because I felt like it was my character. I was pretty free to move. I mean, I guess you had to go to the right. You had to solve the puzzle, so maybe not. But I felt like it was my agency. I was like, hey, this is where I want to go, and people are trying to stop me. This is where I want to go.
Do you think the kid... what backstory do you have of the kid? It's weird that they picked an 8-year-old too, because it's you feel.
Well, that was the weirdest. That when you see him get killed over and over,
that was a part of grotesque, sympathetic pity for this thing.
Well, right. I mean, watching him get killed, like we mentioned, is grotesque. Someone strangling an 8-year-old underwater,
Did you play Limbo?
Yeah, I played Limbo. It's kind of like a similar game, but without any story, kind of. It's just cool puzzles.
I think I played that, but I don't recall it.
Yeah, it's very similar. Totally same company, and I think Inside was just their better version of it.
Yeah.
They cheated. They re-released. Oh, 100%. Limbo is cool artwork, cool puzzles, but it's not Inside was what they should have done, or I guess Limbo helps lead to it.
A game developer has a run up. So the first game they produce is just testing out some mechanics and art styles, and then the next one is applying all the themes and refining all the mechanics. And
redoing it, refining everything. That's what I think Inside was. But again, one of my solving environmental puzzles and avoiding death. I feel like I read a couple essays on this after I played it and I was in love with it. I don't know if it got any kind of Game of the Year award. It got nominated, I think. I don't think it.
Game Critics Awards, Game Awards, Dice Awards. It won a lot of awards. It got nominated a lot and won half of the things that it was nominated for.
I forgot about this.
What?
So, did you run into any of the yellow wires?
There was a secret room, I think.
There's actually 7 of them.
There's 7.
Yeah, they're in weird spots, and they're usually symbolized by a yellow wire that you can see somewhere. If you go inside them, you turn on like a light bulb or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you turn on all of them and then go to the one room in the cornfield, once they're all developed or whatever, you get an alternate ending. I forgot about this. I did this just to see it.
What's the alternate ending?
So player deactivates the hidden light orbs in the various bunkers. The boy returns to one of the bunkers. This is the one under the cornfield. And you get a new area. He reaches an area that includes a bank of computers and one of the mind control helmets powered by a nearby socket. The boy pulls the plug from the socket, upon which case the character takes the same stance as the zombies and the game ends.
I'm watching the ending now.
The alternate one?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, it did win a lot of awards. Damn, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I can talk about this game all day just because the art style was ridiculous. Like the idea, like just something about the game was really cool. And as you're watching it, I know there's all these yellow wires. The other thing we didn't even touch on was the music. So I was doing the underwater scene, and there's a part where you see like the fish are following you. It's such a small thing, but it weirds me out that these fish are drawn to you after you can breathe underwater.
Yeah, and so the chickens, right? The chicks, the little birds.
Yeah,
they're also you're kind of like your friends. It's weird.
Yeah, these animals are drawn to you because you're not human.
They also like. There's a scene where you're in the barn and you have to like suck the chicks into this machine. I thought for sure they were going to get ground up.
They didn't. They didn't.
They just get launched up. Also, the people hanging upside down.
I have no clue. I have no explanation for that.
Gravity changes or something. It's like
above the water or whatever. But
I don't get that. It was bizarre. It was bizarre enough to be really interesting to play in like the water is up scenario.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was like,
and you could change the gravity in a couple rooms or whatever with the water.
Yeah,
to help solve puzzles. That was kind of cool. But that tells me this is all scientific based. So these scientists are messing with something. They're creating something. They're working with gravity. They're messing with humans. They're creating zombies for them to do work, I guess. And maybe these zombies were more human than they thought. It's like they have a humanity, even though they created them to do work. They were just human.
Maybe they were taken over by something. They were real people. But then he never interacts with them as if they were real people.
No, but it is weird that you can control all the zombies.
You can create like an army of zombies. I always felt like that was another level of detail, is that the way they would help you and like carry you and lift you up was very gentle.
They're individuals. Yeah. And it was they're individuals. It's like one zombie is not the same as all the others.
Like, I grabs your foot, another one grabs your arm, and they're like lifting you. It's like I don't know how they program that, but it was like it was very majestic in the way that it was done. You feel very loved in that group of dead zombies.
Yeah, you do. I'm telling you, somehow you're related to these zombies. Whether it's because you are one, you're the king zombie, I don't know. Freeing of the huddle. Oh, it's called a huddle. Interesting.
A lot of zombies is a huddle?
No, the blob you turn into is called the huddle.
Oh.
It's a concept art from Morton Bramson. The art helped animate the huddle and drive Inside's art direction. Weird. One theory is that the boy is controlled by the huddle throughout most of the game, leading him to help free the huddle, eventually come in. Huh. The game impresses that huddle has a magnetic-like draw that leads the boy to endanger himself and unquestionably enter the tank where the huddle is kept. Players speculate that the theory that taking the alternate ending is working contrary to the huddle's goal, and the act of unplugging the computers is to release the huddle's control of the boy.
Maybe they kill
similar theory. Huddle. Well, it kills the control over everyone.
Well, maybe so it pulls the power to the plant so the huddle dies.
Oh, maybe. Similar theories, boy being controlled by one or more scientists. Yeah, that sounds stupid. It's not a scientist.
Scientists are too...
incorrect.
No.
Busy. They're too busy typing and having you murdered.
They have no feel. No emotion.
The boy is being controlled by renegade force. Huh. Okay, that makes sense. So the pulling the plug thing, the alternate ending, is like kind of like the Matrix thing. It's pulling yourself out of the Matrix. The act of pulling the plug in the final area is similar to the concept of the Matrix, as described by PC gamers Tim Clark. Thanks, Tim. Metallift explains the location of the alternate ending is only known to the player with knowledge of the main ending and not to the huddle or the scientists. With knowledge of the game's true ending, achieving the alternate ending is to reach a conclusion to the game that ostensibly puts an end to the boy, the blob, and any inhumane experiments being conducted. It is cool, because the alternate ending is at like level 2. You have to go back to go to the alternate ending, so you have to know it's there. You can't stumble upon it and figure that out.
So wait, say that again. Like you have to play another game to get there, or?
Yeah, well, after you beat the game, you can load any chapter.
Oh.
So you have to go back to chapter 2 or 3 or whatever very early in the game to get the alternate ending. So you are only playing that to get the alternate ending. You can't stumble upon an alternate ending. So it's weird in that it's meta. I guess you have to know you're going to do it. Which is almost like saying, no, I won't go to the control portion of the game. I'm doing my own thing. Whatever. We're as deep as we can get. And we should shift. Yeah. It's wild. Anyway, play this game, and if you have first-time reactions to becoming the giant ballsack, like, please let us know, because that was the most fun I've had in a game. So being that powerful, I loved it. And grotesque.
Let's talk about like why we like that so much. Like, you're not going to see it in normal life. And
you're never going to see that in normal life.
It's entirely unique. It's something that you're trying to comprehend as you're using it, and there's no way to predict how it's actually going to interact with the world. And there's something really guttural about it. Like, you feel all the pain and like the haunting. It's very It has all the bodily like motions and functions.
And again, maybe it's because for 2 hours of gameplay, I was a frail 8-year-old boy who was getting strangled and like just blasted by things and killed nonstop. And then I became this ridiculous invincible thing that could crush things and was there's something
it's like the Hulk.
Yeah, there's something so it like flipped a switch so hard, like the ultimate flip. Like, do you know what I mean? I was now a monster and a terror and killing things. I thought that was cool. I don't know.
And you loved it.
I did. I loved being gross. The funniest was seeing all your zombie friends try and lift you because you have no edges. You're just a blob.
Yeah.
So there's like 8 of you trying to help you up an elevator shaft or whatever. And you were just like, love that shit. That's good stuff.
Are there any other games that are like this? I didn't even.
So there's a game coming out, Death Stranding. That's
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
What's it called? Is it
the same thing?
It's from one of the guys from Metal Gear Solid, right? The guy who is essentially responsible for Psycho Mantis, I believe.
So there's something weird about like a baby in this one, and then
dude, it's like a baby. It's like an abortion that's come to life and keeps. There's a lot of birth tropes going on in this one. I've seen a lot of commercials. It's like an adult man being born again, umbilical cords everywhere, blood everywhere, like naked man, like dead bodies everywhere. He's killing everyone. It's
Hideo,
what's his name?
Kojima?
Natsuki? Oh, Kojima.
Kojima, like so he did this, like he's been doing it for like years. Like this is his plan. Like he quit a lucrative job to do it.
Yes. He is the brainchild of, I believe, Metal Gear Solid. He did Psycho Mantis, which was kind of the coolest idea for a bad guy. Do you know what they did for that?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if you remember Metal Gear Solid. So Metal Gear Solid, you get to Psycho Mantis. He would read your mind, aka read what was on your memory card at the time in a PlayStation. So he would tell you the games you had saved, etc., on your PlayStation. No other game had this feature, so most people didn't even catch the reference. And then he would say, now that I know I can read your mind with your controller, you can't beat him. So you would go to punch him, do anything to him. And before you'd hit the button, he would disappear and reappear elsewhere. the way to beat him was to unplug your controller from port 1 and plug it into port 2.
Really?
Yeah, because then he says, "Why can't I read your mind?" But that was the whole thing. And I was like, that's genius for a PlayStation 1 game that had that technology. I was like, that's actually really
Silent
cool.
Hill methodology, yeah.
Right? Yes, it's very genius. So he's kind of a genius. He's kind of out there. But all of this, stop with your jello shooters. All of this stuff has led him down an insane path where I feel like he's literally trying to make the most grotesque game of all time. Have you seen any clips for that game?
There was one I was like, he's on a beach and like he looks down and grabs something and then like it's blackness and then it like gets into his fingertips and into his veins and up his arms.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. You have no context for what is really going on. That's what you so many questions that come up that you try to figure them out and there's nothing to figure out. Like you will maybe figure it out when you play the game, but you're not going to figure it out through that trailer.
It's grotesque for the sake of being grotesque at the time, I believe. Is there anything else that's like grotesque? Is a car wreck grotesque?
Yeah.
Faces of Death. Remember?
So that's exactly what I was thinking before.
Is it?
Yeah, but that's weird because it's like it's very finite. It's like a thing that happened, and you're just like, there's like things that like there's people who get killed. Not there's face of death, but like people who are deliberately killed on camera. It's like there's like you've never seen those like jihadist stuff. That's awful. Jihadist murders and stuff. Like they film them so that they can make an impact on the world, and it just makes everyone hate them so much.
Oh, that is weird. I just remember I saw some woman in, I forget what country. It was a country in Africa, and she was literally cut and sliced open from her throat and then killed. Like I watched her die, and I was like, "That's wow." Someone posted that, and it was in a different language, and someone I didn't follow posted it and reposted it, and I was like, "Ooh, I just watched. That's a murder."
Yeah,
okay.
It's disturbing.
And it's weird because I think I dabbled in maybe the Faces of Death for like a hot minute. I want to say 10 years ago, but I haven't probably watched anyone actually die in a little bit. And I saw that I want to say 2 months ago, and it kind of fucked with me. I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Well, there's
I totally watched it again to make sure it wasn't fake, like that I wasn't being whatever, but I wasn't, and that made it worse because now I watched it twice.
Yeah. Well, there's an element to it that, like, I think a majority of people, like an excessive majority of people, want to believe like the world is good and everything happy and stuff is great, and like, yeah, most of the time it is. But there's also this awful stuff that happens for no reason at all, and that happens all the time too. And like most people just can't deal with it, so they don't pay attention to it. But there, I guess, like the person who made Faces of Death probably like wanted to show that these things happen, and like some of these things are maybe preventable. So there's situations that like if you had seen them, you might realize that like, oh, this is dangerous. Like escalators. Have you ever seen like escalators fail?
No, someone died on an escalator? How? Oh my god.
The steps of an escalator are heavy metal and they rotate and they kind of like fold into one another.
So what? It's in case they overstep their bound and the overlap is too much and they grab you and pull you down?
Yeah, well you can like the little lip at the end. I've seen people get shoes and feet stuck in them, so they lose
I've heard of shoelaces and stuff, but really?
Yeah. And then there's like a hatch kind of thing that opens when they service it. I saw a woman, she had a toddler with her, and as it came to the top, like the hatch was open and it has just like grinding gears down there. So like she got to the top, picked up her kid and threw her kid so that her kid was safe, but she didn't make it. She got stuck in the thing and like got ground up in an escalator. And I just
just out of curiosity, what angle is that from? Like a security footage?
Security footage from top down. So you're looking at her, like noticing it, like you're seeing her face and like her body language, throws the kid, and then she just disappears in the escalator. Like, how did they not design it so that can be avoided? Like, that seems like it's tremendously deadly.
That is. What I would say is that even a car engine is tremendously deadly if you put your face into it. I mean, there's a lot of things we use every day, so I get it. And Faces of Death, I don't think was to prevent simple things. I think it was literally just based on people will watch us if I put it on here. But is what I gathered from it.
The dangerous thing isn't the things; it's the other people, because the other people are like suiciding on like trains or like by police officers, like other methods of dying that like they could bring you down with them, or like even like emotionally mess you up if that happens to you, because I don't think I've ever seen anybody die ever. And like if I were to see someone die in like a weird way, it would just like shake me, and I don't know that I'd be able to let that go. Like I think I would keep processing.
I think that's the point. I mean, you would. I think that's why you want that to happen, but that's what would happen if you're a normal person ish.
Yeah, but I think that's why we're so interested in some of the grotesque stuff. Like,
it's as close to death or as close to the bizarre, ultimate, messy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, whether it's not death, it's maiming or whatever.
It's also like movies, like Halloween movies, like It. If you've seen It, there's a lot of freaky stuff that happens that is intertwined into. It's almost like Poltergeist too, intertwined in the like our own fears, and like manipulating ourselves. There's so many scenes in that just freak you out because it's, I don't know, it makes us vulnerable in all the same way.
Yeah, like we're all the same. We're all meat.
Yeah, there's so many ways you could damage yourself and
forever die. Yeah. It's creepy.
We're living in a weird age where all that stuff can be conveyed to us, and like I don't think most people could handle that knowledge.
It's weird. It's the ultimate truth, isn't it? I mean, what is it? We live, we die, we pay taxes. I know that sounds like an old adage, and we think it's very plastic and very fake, but to the people 5,000 years ago, it's probably just as true as it is to us. 5,000 is a long time for taxes. 2,000. I'm just saying. I think the truth is still there. No, I mean we can see it now on a friggin' video or a
HD
iPhone. Yeah.
So there's another part of like the insides of somebody. Like if they like get cut open, it's like that inherently like blood freaks people out. And then like
blood doesn't get me, guts do.
Guts.
Yeah, I don't like to see guts. I see even TV shows with surgeries. I guess it depends on the surgery. Like you can be cutting someone's arm open and I'm like, who cares? If you're cutting any way open from like here to here, it's weird. I don't like it.
Freaking out. That's like the
chest to the pelvis. What?
No, it's just like the way they used to have like colonial surgery and stuff. They'd like get the person drunk or like knock them out, or they just like strap them to a table and like make them bite on like a leather strap. Well, and then like they were paid based on how quickly they could do the surgery. Like a good surgeon would do it more quickly because you couldn't endure the pain that long. Like you would literally die on the table from pain. So a surgeon would be like, cut it out and you'd be good.
Nasty stuff. The only good news in regards to that is I imagine, and I've never died, and I've never been in that much extreme pain, but it probably all feels the same.
I don't think that it's that painful.
Yeah, no, because I think your senses can only take so much. I think it just feels like an overwhelming sense, and you can't process it, and eventually you're either dead or you're recovering for 7 years because you're maimed.
Breaking an ankle. Like, breaking the ankle wasn't painful. My adrenaline was overtaking my body, so like I was...
Everything surged. You don't know what the hell's going on. Your body is overdrive, and you don't feel it, but if you live and there's healing going on, you're going to feel that for a while. But the process itself, no. It's probably how dying feels. God damn it. Why did this whole episode turn into what it's like to die?
Well, I feel like it is something that no one really talks about. And there's also an element that as you grow older, you feel more vulnerable. And
getting there.
If you have kids, you feel their pain. Like you have so much empathy for their own pain that it makes you more connected to the way other people live and feel pain too.
I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going to go the other way.
No, I don't agree at all. I was saying I don't disagree. No, I'm invincible. Like I don't care what happens to me. I played hockey. I abused my body. I will get into fist fights. I will drink in excess. I will do stupid stuff. I will drive 400 miles an hour, not drunk. No, Jesus Christ. I will do ridiculous things. I will be an idiot. I will never go to the doctors for an injury I have. I will fight any disease I have by myself without a doctor. But once my kid has the sniffles, I'm like, we need to get you to the doctor.
You should probably go there. Yeah.
Like, it's so weird. I'm like, you hurt your elbow? Oh my God, are you okay? We need to stop. Don't play that game. You're going to hurt yourself. Do not stand near the steps, please. Whereas it's the total opposite of who I am. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. Like, you're mentioning be a parent. It's like you can't have the same rules for yourself as your kid.
Yeah, you also can't always protect them. Like, how many times has your kid growing up hit his head, slipped, fall, and you're just like...
Real hard. You're like, oh
jeez. Yeah. I hope that's not permanent. It's just something that, I don't know, maybe like the whole grotesque thing is teaching us a lot of what we don't know. Like maybe in that situation, like if you were a little boy in the game Inside, would you, like if it happened now, like everyone was gone and you had a drive to go to this place and then everyone was out to kill you, would you take it more seriously if you had played Inside? Like, would you assume that someone's going to kill you immediately? Like, I think I might. Like, if there's people searching for me, like, I don't know that I'd give up at that point.
Maybe. The only caveat is I hope I have multiple lives because I have to figure out the puzzles.
It's going to take a lot of effort figuring out the puzzles you're going to...
Yes, it will. I have to really think them before I do them. I guess the other thing is with grotesque stuff, you touched on it. It's a little bit about that's what life is. Life is grotesque. It's gross. We live and we all die. Like, we don't like to think about it that way because, like, that's pretty downer. But we all live. Our guts all stop. Our blood stops pumping. And it's like, you got to think that about your family members. You got to think that about your kids. You got to think about people, your next door neighbor. Yeah, it's going to happen to everybody. It's weird. It's grotesque. It's to the point of, ugh.
Then there's things that we do every day that we don't talk about. Like, there's stuff that we probably, like,
squeezing out of poop,
or like pooping or something. Like stuff like that you don't even experience unless you have a child or like someone severely open about what they're talking about. Like, you might not even, like, everyone might experience it and just be like, keep it to themselves. Maybe it's part of sharing the human experience. Like, I've got one for you. Like, everyone used to say, I mean, it still says, like, oh, like, they ate corn that day, they could tell in their poop. And, like, I would just go along with it. Like, oh, yeah, like, I've seen, like, what I thought was corn in my poop. And
you thought? What the hell was it?
It looked like corn. Like, not like real corn. But, like, I always thought that you could tell it was corn. This sounds really weird, but there's a finish.
This sounds weird because I'm wondering if you've ever really eaten corn.
I've eaten corn, and I pooped out, but it wasn't like full kernels of corn.
Oh yeah, real corn, like yellow, perfect kernel of corn.
This is exactly.
You never saw that?
This is exactly my point. No, because I chew my fucking food. How
much do you chew your goddamn corn?
A lot. I make sure I chew every piece. So my son ate corn, and his diaper was loaded with corn. And I was just like, this is like whole corn, and it's like the whole thing. And I was just like, it dawned on me that all these people saying they pooped out corn, it was like
corn.
Yeah,
it was legit. It was an actual kernel of corn. It's not an exaggeration.
I've never pooped out maybe they were like might have been like a half of one embedded in my turd, but
maybe you don't eat as much corn or you process it different than most people do. I don't know.
Maybe I'm the next generation of human, but I think it's that I chew because like my son doesn't chew corn.
No,
I don't.
This happens to everyone.
Think you don't chew your corn. That's what I'm saying. You chew your corn, Nick.
Everyone chews adults. This happens to adults. You're the only one it doesn't happen to.
Because I properly chew my food.
How about this one? Like, people are like all up in arms about buttholes and stuff. My kid poops. His poop is like this thick. Because he holds it for like 2.5 days. And I'm like, oh my God. He's like, it hurts. And I'm like, yeah, Yeah, you're waiting 2.5, 3.5 days to poop. That's going to be a big boy. And
eat more vegetables. Eat more corn.
Eat more corn. It just occurs to me that if your butthole can do that, oof, God bless. Everyone's can, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you had some poops?
See, I know
you
when I was younger, I used to get constipated, and like it'd be like a brick, and it'd be like that big, like
that's coming out of your butt,
my mouth, yeah. And
so think about that. What could go into your butt?
You could hear it in the pipes, like it would clink.
Oh,
yeah. But that sort of thing, like no one talks about, and like everyone poops, and like you can tell, like kids, the way they react, it's just like pure honesty. Like I didn't know I had to poop. Like it's like that's something like a kid would say. He's like, "What? I had to poop every day? That's ridiculous." Like
every single day.
I don't want to do that. Like, Dada, no, I don't want to. Not today.
That's wrong like that.
You have to poop. You have an argument about poop.
You have to poop. Helping them wipe and all that shit.
Sadness.
So, I mean, let's sum it up. Where are we going? What's our goal here?
I don't know.
We want to talk about the grotesque. The next what?
The next game that is going to be grotesque. Death Stranding. Resident Evils are like grotesque.
Yeah, they are. Any game that really gives you too much blood and guts or like
excessive gore.
Yeah. It's funny. It's called comically because the ballsack was comical. The final form, the huddle.
Mortal Kombat.
Well, I don't know where this fits in it, and I'm sure we've touched on it, but when the Mortal Kombat 1 came out and the fatality of Kano ripping out the heart, and it's just a circle that drips red, tacky. It looks so crappy. It's like people were up in arms that this was going to cause school shootings or murders or whatever, like on the rise. It's not. But is that because technology was where it was? Like, could it now because it looks pretty good? It's like a much better looking heart that pumps and you can squish it. Like, does that make it worse? I have no idea. I mean, there's the idea of it, ripping out someone's heart and squishing it. And then there's the visual representation. What if someone did like an actual pretty good representation graphically of someone ripping out a human heart and squeezing it?
Squirm?
Yeah, it would. It would make me go, ooh, I'd go, oof. Oof. I'd be like, that's badass, but oof, too badass.
Indiana Jones, Om Nom Shiba, Om Nom Shiba, Om Nom Shiba.
Yeah.
He pulls it out.
Kalima. Yeah, I like how you got the pronunciations better. But is it graphically based at that point? I don't know. Or the idea based?
More to it?
I guess. Is there a point? Is 1080p the cutoff? I mean, you seem to not know all the details.
People are going to die because of virtual reality. We need to look to see if there's anybody who has died of fright.
I don't think anyone died of fright. Hold on. There are people who have no fear. Like, do you know about these people?
Oh, I have.
Remember, we did a podcast, and they're literally unlisted because people will try and find them and scare them.
Yeah.
Which is wild. So do you think there's the opposite? People who have adrenal glands that are overdrive and
anxiety.
Like their heart rate would spike and anxiety. And then if you tried to scare them, they might freak out and die. That would be wild.
I feel like they just have heart attacks. Like the people who get.
Well, that would be scared to death, right? I guess. The Gerard Butler in the movie where he's the prisoner.
Citizen? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He kills the one guy with fear because he controls his heart rate and he can't move. He paralyzes him, but he can still feel fear. And he adjusts citizen. You're right. Right to kill. Citizen to kill. Anyway, he's sawing off the dude's
law-abiding citizen.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
It's really good. I like it because he engineers people's deaths.
Yeah, dude, that's grotesque. He's sawing off people's fingers and crap because they can't move, but they can feel the full pain.
So they stay alive.
Oh yeah, baby.
Saw movies.
Those movies, are they grotesque or horror? Yeah, they're grotesque because they're like you have to crawl through glass to find the key that's in your mother's eye that unlocks your daughter's sexuality, and she's only 4, and it's like, what? You just connected 8 things that I don't think we need to go down. What if Jigsaw was just like, you need to look at child porn for an hour straight? And it's like, Jigsaw, I don't think so. This is a bit dark for me. And he's like, do you want your father to live? And it's like, I guess, I don't know. Like, where do you go? I don't know.
That doesn't have any physical pain to it, Nick, so that would not be in the movie. I'm not going to say how to make it physically painful, but
that's some psychological trauma pain, though. Are you saying you would?
I'm not. I can't believe you brought that up on the podcast.
I was asking because it's disturbing. Like, these grotesque is things we don't want to touch, things we don't want to talk about, things we don't want to be near.
This is like the cheese pizza thing.
I love cheese pizza.
Yeah. CP? Child porn?
Wait.
Cosmic pizza?
Oh, was that their code? Oh, yeah. That was a code. Child porn.
Talked about you want pizza in very alluring ways.
I think that was fake, though, wasn't it?
I don't know, but these things exist.
They
must exist.
They do somewhere. Well, they don't must exist. It could be a trope where it constantly, in quotes, must exist, but never does. It's just what they put on people in power. I have no idea. It could not.
It could be a warping of reality so that they bring those people down as well.
Right. Now, because that's the worst
more likely
crime
that I would hope, but you don't know because no one ever talks about it.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah.
The dude who Reddit did a post on the schematics for the cosmic pizza or whatever, that was all this mysterious stuff, and it went on Reddit, and a dude was like, hey, there's all these secret rooms that were built into it that aren't in the blueprints or something. And this one guy, this is in the news, said, that's messed up. That's where they're keeping his children. This is where they're doing the terrible stuff. He went there with a gun and was demanding to see the secret rooms. He didn't actually shoot anyone, but guess what? He brought a gun into a pizza place and was demanding to see the secret rooms where the child pornography stuff was. And it was just like, nope, it was just some guy on Reddit making that up. I don't know if that counts as grotesque because he was obsessed with it. Like, he was like, he wanted to do justice. This was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I don't know.
I think that's been erased from the. So there's another censorship. That's where I think the other element of this, because like the internet was free roam, wild, wild west, for a long time.
wiki. Good.
So you could find anything on the internet, but now I think people are becoming more aware and more sensitive to it. So they want to censor the internet, and I don't know that. I mean, they're trying to prevent that person with the gun doing something, the vigilante that thinks they're
That's
helping in some way. But I don't know that it really needs to be censored. Because I think you want those people that believe insanity, all those crazies, you kind of want them to become known in very stupid ways. So it's actually filtering out the people that would do something even crazier later on, because they're probably gonna.
Like admitting they're crazy. So then we have a forum where we can see they're crazy and we can start checking them out. Let's say, hey, let's flag this guy and let's check him out. Now, I guess there is a fine line between let's check this guy out and let's already censor him, or I don't know.
Well, if he has like a user and a place to post all this garbage, and then they can like hone in on them, like not only check them out, but like the history of what their psyche was like. If they're like, you could read all their messages.
You can start tracing where they've been and their private messages, their DMs, where they're going. If you could check their websites, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
just it does run into freedoms. It does run into like infringing on what they're looking at versus what they're doing. I have no idea the laws.
There's no law because all these servers are private. Like Reddit's private.
I have no idea. Is it? I have no idea.
They can choose what they host and what they don't host.
So they can kick people. So that means you shouldn't be able to read who's reading their stuff. or something?
I have no idea where
this is a whole privacy update. I was just asking, so whose right is it? If they're saying it's a private server, anyone can post? They can tell the government to, we're not going to tell you? Or is it the opposite? No, because that would be a public server.
I don't know. Again, so you're like, the person who owns the server can tell who and who cannot come on the server. So like Reddit can say you're banned, you're not allowed to post in this.
What if the government comes to Reddit and says, hey, user XXX, give me what they've been looking at?
I think they can subpoena them and force them to turn it over. It's even
even though it's private?
Like the priests who wrote a confession. It's like religiously based confessions. There are some hazy cases where they did share what was going on.
Weird. That's wild.
And that, like, growing up,
it's like off limits.
Yeah, growing up, that was one of the things that, like, the priest has to like keep it secret forever. It's like, I don't know that that's real.
Forever is a funny word, dude. It never holds up, does it?
Mm-mm. No. Okay.
Weird. I think that sums it up.
Yeah. That giant blob ballsack rolling through the corridors and busting through walls.
And killing that one dude.
I feel like maybe that was the justice you were looking for, is killing that one guy.
Ironically, I think that's the only guy you actually kill.
The one you focus on actually killing, yeah. I don't know if you might accidentally kill one other person, but...
It's possible, but I feel like, no. This game's very detail-oriented. I feel like you don't kill anyone else. I feel like you only kill that guy. And here's a kicker. I've played the game 3 times. You can let him live.
How?
If you just stand there in the room. Look at him. I think it takes like 20 seconds, which sounds like not a long time, but he creeps away from the window wall and then just runs by. But 20 seconds is a long time. I did this because I think I wanted to see if it would work or whatever. And I was literally about to give up. No, because I don't think you can go back to the little left. You can't go back to the left. You can't go left. But how wild is that? Isn't that weird? I don't know what that even says about me. Or the game.
See, wanted to know if he was truly trapped, stuck in this game universe, ready to die.
But at the same time, he's the only one you can kill, and I do enjoy killing him.
Yeah, because
I did it again when I played again. Something about him felt like he was corporate, he was the boss, and he never worked a day in his life, and he was in charge of a lot of this.
He made all the decisions, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, let's roll this MF out the window and land on him with our 1,200 pounds of legs, arms, and heads.
What a way to go.
That'll teach him. Do you know he's all over your body for the rest of the game unless you go in the water that's to your left?
You mean like his remains, the blood?
Yeah.
I remember that blood being on me, and I was like, oh, that's gross.
If you have to grab a log that's in the water, so most of him washes off, but if you, you know what I'm saying?
You try to keep him on you.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'll keep that, man.
Souvenir.
That's my...
Oh, man.
That's grotesque.
That certainly is.
It's almost funny how gross it is, right?
I crack up, but I'm not normal. I don't think most people crack up with that. Or do they? I don't know. Maybe they just keep it to themselves. Maybe they're laughing on the inside and they think this is inappropriate to laugh out loud.
So I'll keep it to myself, but I'm still laughing out loud. So would you say that loud is your goal that everyone is just like you and just not publicly so? Or is your goal that they're not like you?
I think I'd like to unlock that piece in the other person. Because, like, if you find somebody that's like you, I think the world is better.
I agree, but do you know what's weird? I'm totally maybe narcissistic. I hope most people don't laugh at that. Like, they're not as funny as me. They're not as... Right?
Yeah. No, well, that's what their reaction would be. They'd be like, oh, this game's awful. They wouldn't even get to that point. It builds up in such a way that you would never... Someone who was disgusted by it would stop after the first death. The first
disgusting. Someone just killed an 8-year-old.
Getting drowned in the water. They'd be like, whoa.
This is disgusting. Who killed an 8-year-old boy in a red shirt? That's a red shirt boy. Leave him alone. I want to say I'd be more glad if I'm in the minority. Maybe that says a lot about me.
What do you think an empathic woman would do playing that game? will she be like, "Oh my God, he just got murdered. I can't." Huh.
It really depends on the rest of her personality, because I think some of them would keep playing to see what's going on, and then get really confused, and then get really be like, "What?" I really want to see people's reactions when they turn into the ballsack, because that's honestly such a big transition for a game.
They've spent making, like, it must have been like 2 years to develop a game that was like legitimately disturbing.
Well, it's 2 games, right? With the same art style.
What's the next iteration? I hope it has a follow-on. This is kind of like oh shit, what is that movie series? Cloverfield.
Mm-hmm.
Cloverfield does the same thing where you have no clue what's going on. It's just like episodic. It's like you have one vignette, one picture of somebody's like take on what's going on and how they're coping.
You're like, whoa, let's do more. That's grotesque.
Yep. It's bizarre.
So is pooping.
Mm-hmm. And I've never had corn come out. I chew my food. Apparently all those other people never chewed corn.
Comically disproportionate and distended. Ugh.
Can we just like have a diet of corn, like unchewed corn for a day? Like how would that come out?
You're gonna start swallowing your corn
like a Gatling gun? You're just like in the bottom of the bowl.
I guess.
Yep.
Folks, we talked about Death Stranding. We talked about Inside by Playdead. Click the link below. We'll get full credit or not. Everyone should play the game, though.
Yeah.
We talked about people dying in escalators. Ugh, I still think about
awful things. Teaches you something about getting on an escalator or taking the stairs.
I'm not taking my kid on no escalators.
Yeah. Just myself, so I can jump out of the way.
No, so I can jump right into it. Yeah. We talked about everything from life, death, the mundane stuff that we deal with every day, like pushing poop out that butthole. We push that poop out that butthole.
Escalator fail.
Escalator fail. We talked about disgusting stuff.
Do you see elevator fail?
No, I don't want to.
No. It's so sad.
Okay.
You're smiling a little bit, but the one
No, I was frowning. I actually frowned.
You frowned?
Because I didn't know what it was. Because I don't know what it was.
You frown. Should frown. Show a frown. Show emotion, Nick.
I just found out Batman, the one where Bane takes over the city. Which one would call?
It's in the Dark Knight series. I don't know which one. He returns probably.
Anyway, yeah, it could be. When they do the football scene, those are all Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
I saw Bill Cowher. I saw Ben Roethlisberger, Heinz Ward, someone else.
Yeah.
And I just saw him yesterday, and I was watching TV, and I was like, that's Ben Roethlisberger. I was like, that's Bill Cowher. What the? That's Heinz Ward.
Actually,
I didn't realize that.
Them to be in a game. To play a game in a movie, yeah.
Okay. I have no idea. It was in Pittsburgh, so that's why I assume. It makes sense. Anyway, we talked about everything grotesque, even the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a pretty grotesque team.
Yeah, Play Dead, Inside. A lot of awards. Red shirt, little boy.
Ballsack.
Limbo.
Wow. Check the links. Click them here. Thanks, folks, for joining us. We can't believe you liked our socials. They're here, here, here. You can click us here. You can check us here. You can watch another episode. We really appreciate you coming out tonight. Dan did jello shots. I didn't even have a drink. So
you didn't have a drink at all? Was that water?
It's water.
Really? Water.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, folks.
Yeah.
We like you.
We like you a lot.
We like you a lot.
Good night.